Guru Nation, how's it going? How's everybody doing on this lovely month of February? We're ending winter, getting into spring. The slides are even green.
What date does spring start?
I'm not sure, but these slides are green, and it reminded me of spring. Once again, Carlos did an exceptional job. We will remain to be seen. You get a prize if you can spot an error of Carlos. First person to spot an
There's
error.
a number of errors. I already reviewed the slides.
Okay, well, this is a good preamble. If
Ah.
the first person to spot an error on a slide in the chat gets something. I don't know what. Okay, so
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. No, you don't get something nicer than a thank you.
Okay.
Chris, you love this topic. We did this podcast where we're talking about
Love's a little bit strong. But
here's
okay.
here's the thing, okay? As you're enjoying your Diet Coke, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We just came back from well, not recently, but this past year we went to DIA.
Yeah.
The biggest thing they're talking about are site networks, as well as AI and all this other stuff. But site networks is the most practical for those of us on this webinar.
Mm-hmm.
And this year we're expecting no different at Bio. Okay. Site networks. I'm on LinkedIn all the time. People are talking about site networks. IKEA just bought a site network.
Oh, yeah?
The other day.
How large, do you know?
I need to find the article again because I was reading it and then I lost it in the news stream. And I was trying to find it. But that's another prize. If somebody can send me this article.
Wow, lots of prizes.
Yeah, maybe it's the same person. You get a lot of stuff. Chris will come to your house and deliver something.
He will?
Maybe.
I'm glad you're volunteering me for this.
If they live in Southern California, perhaps.
Within a 50-mile radius. How about that?
Okay. So, site networks. You actually came up with this brilliant idea.
Brilliant, huh?
You said, Dan, we need to tell, because we have the site network, all these clients, that are in our site network, all the sites that we own that are in our site network. By the way, we have a monthly service where for $12.99 a month, we get studies for our clients.
Yes, we do.
Which are sites in our site network. We do their budgets and contracts, create source docs, help them with SOPs, everything. Help them work out issues that they run into on a daily basis.
Readily available for questions and answers.
Constant issues.
Yep.
Constant issues. We're here to help, guys. All right. This is a site network. So Chris had this idea. Hey, we have the site network. How do we convey to the sponsors and CROs why they should work with us? And increasingly lately they have been working with us, which is good. But we need to keep this momentum going. Not only that, how do we let other site owners know, hey, why not join our network?
Yep.
DSCs. We have plenty of very happy clients right now.
And there's more power in the larger numbers.
More power in the numbers. So why don't you break it down why you wanted to do this podcast, which now evolved into a webinar?
Thanks for throwing this at me.
Absolutely. This topic was conceived by Chris Aubrey.
Sure, but I think you've already summarized the purpose, right?
Right.
Is to get the message out that we have a relatively large network, growing by the day. Right?
Yes. No exaggeration.
Yeah, no exaggeration. Growing by the day, and we need to, as you had said, convey this message to as many sponsors and CROs out there looking for sites. It's, and we're going to get into this in the slides. It offers an advantage to sponsors and CROs to have relationships with site networks. They can bring on sites more quickly. Oftentimes, they can minimize the amount of time it takes to negotiate, say, a budget. They can apply that same budget to all the sites in the site network. There's a number of benefits to working with a site network for a CRO and a sponsor.
Right.
And I don't want to jump ahead in the slides. I would assume we're going to cover that.
Yeah, we want to save something for the slides. But That was good. I'm glad you got your overview on it. So we can go to the next slide. Also, since you're hosting it on your computer, just man the chat. The chat. We need to see activity in this chat.
One person said hi.
Yeah, because a lot of people are calling in. So you guys unfortunately can't do anything. But if you have an added advantage if you're logged in with your computer, because you can win prizes.
Yeah, there's a few.
Okay, there's actually a lot of you guys. All right, good. So, what is a site management organization? Because to understand site network, let's do a history lesson.
History. I like
You
history.
like
My
history?
favorite topic.
So, what is a site network now? Kind of evolved from a site management organization. And I know you're gonna have a lot of differing opinions on this because this SMO thing is kind of a dirty word.
Right, but I think there is a difference between the two, right?
There is, and we got to talk about that too.
So a site management organization has a central, for lack of a better word, central figurehead, right, where they're running the show.
It's like a spoke and wheel, like a
Yeah,
spoke
exactly,
and wheel.
exactly.
Whereas a site network would be more like many wheels that are loosely connected.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Send us your beautiful.
We got a question. Don't let the question stop you, Chris. You just got to roll with it.
Just got to roll with the questions.
They want the beautiful slides for reference.
I don't know. Do we send them the slides?
You'll get the replay. You can screenshot the
individual slides.
All right. You know what I should do is give everyone Carlos's email, and he can send the slides.
You'll appreciate that.
Okay. So what is what is a site? So history lesson.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you have to understand. It's kind of like understanding the internet. You have to understand telephones first, right?
Do you?
I don't know what's a good analogy, but site network is like the new thing.
Sure.
So SMO, like you said, it was a central and then a central location or center point where all the studies and budgets and regulatory goes to.
Right.
And then they spread it out
amongst
through
sites
their SMO.
Right.
Okay. Which most of these SMOs owned all of these sites. I think that's a big difference, as you'll soon see, between site network and site management organization. This SMO basically made it seem like they're a bunch of small companies, but really it was just one company.
Yep.
Right? It was just one central point.
Yep. And there's advantages to that as well, but there's a lot of disadvantages, and that's why it's kind of fallen out of favor.
That's right. And we're going to talk about the disadvantages. But just to know, the SMOs, to do the brief history lesson, started like in the early mid 90s. Okay. And then kind of evolved. Just like the CROs came out in the 70s with Dennis Geelings and Quintiles, which is now IQVIA. And then a bunch of other CROs came like in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
SMOs started coming in the 90s, early 90s, as kind of like a more, if you think about it, what an SMO does is a more specialized version of a CRO. Like, hey, they did what the CROs outsourced from pharma. The SMOs took what the CROs wanted to outsource, which is like site management.
Yeah,
right?
That makes sense.
And so that's what SMO kind of did. The problem with SMO, there's a lot of good things. They streamline. Who's against streamlining budgets, streamlining trainings,
right?
Streamlining startup regulatory? You only negotiate one budget instead of 30. Right? Yep. That's the idea.
Yep.
Who's against that? Nobody is against this. What happened with the SMOs is because we are in a capitalistic society, is they put profits ahead of everything else, right? And fast profits ahead of everything else. So what these SMOs did was they grew so quickly and so big, they could care less which spoke was added to their wheel. The more spokes they can have, the better.
Yep.
And so they didn't even vet these doctors. A lot of these doctors had bad marks on their licenses. A lot of these sites ended up committing fraud. A lot of these sites didn't care about GCP or anything.
Yep.
Right? So this kind of fell out of favor. It took a good 10 years for this SMO thing to kind of die out. And it really took the Great Recession. We go to the next slide. It really took the Great Recession to kind of put an end to the growth entirely of SMOs. And they're still around.
But aren't they more rebranding themselves as site networks?
Most of them are most, if not all, are rebranding as site networks. Occasionally, you'll meet somebody who doesn't know very much history lesson, and this is why you guys are smart for joining this webinar, because you get the history lessons, And it's not drunk history, it's sober history.
Oh, very nice.
Love that show, Drunk History, but this
Yeah,
is sober
it's funny.
history. Okay, so now they're called site networks, but
Are they truly site networks though when they rebranded from an SMO? They're not really.
so we're going to talk about the differences because there
Right.
are good site networks, and then just like anything else that's trendy, like AI is a perfect example, or virtual trials. You know,
Mhm.
there's a good virtual trials, and then there's a gimmicky one that's just trying to monetize a
Right.
wave.
So an SMO is gimmicky when they start calling themselves a site network.
Site network, and we're gonna teach you sponsors, CROs, and sites how to discern between the two.
Mhm.
We're gonna teach you,
We're
and we're
gonna
gonna teach you why DSCS is one of the better ones and not a gimmick.
Yeah, definitely not a gimmick.
Okay, so we discussed this. This was a history lesson. I don't see any errors here, but you said you
Yeah,
spotted.
there's an error right there.
We're giving out answers now.
They
The
didn't
next
see
one.
what I did.
Okay. Okay. True. Move this slide before someone sees it.
All right.
Okay. Now we start the contest again. Okay. So here's the considerations when using SMOs. You want to bring this up?
Considerations when using SMOs. SMOs were popular many years ago, but are now longer favored by CROs, but are no longer favored by CROs and sponsors. Does it count when I make it here?
No.
Okay.
You don't win.
And we already discussed this. One of the major SMO downsides was that they took a large share of the site's budgets, thereby disincentivizing sites from addressing queries, regulatory documents, and data entry rates suffered, along with other things too. There were problems with getting regulatory documents submitted, not only doing them correctly, but getting submitted. There's all kinds of downsides with documentation with SMOs, especially when the figurehead is the central location is not directly involved or really cares about these things getting taken care of.
Okay. Very good. So this is for the sponsors. I don't know if sponsors are even using SMOs anymore because in every feasibility survey, this is interesting. This is how you know. Okay. In every feasibility survey, they are asking, are you part of an SMO?
Yep.
And they don't really tell if that's a good or bad thing, but from our experiences, that's a bad thing.
Yep.
Right? Now, there are a few SMOs, like 1% of them, that still label themselves SMOs,
Because they have a good name.
that have a good name and have a good reputation.
Yep.
All right. But for anyone else that's a new entrant into this space, you're really not wanting to brand yourself an SMO.
Yeah.
What you want to do is join a site network or create your own site network or both. You can actually do both. We're going to talk about how that's possible for sites too. So yeah, we go to the next slide. There's a lot of slides. This Carlos did a thorough job.
Yeah, we're way behind.
This infographic looks chaotic.
To say the least.
Not sure what's going on here, but looks like some kind of upset boss. Anyways, additionally, SMOs standardize how their sites operate. Okay, this is what the good of SMOs are. Okay, standardize how their sites operate, which means that systematic errors are also reproduced. So
Exactly.
this
Yep.
is true because with the SMO, it's the good and the bad. Okay, like yes, you're gonna have streamlined, standardized everything, right? But if they make a mistake in their process and then everybody follows this process,
It's going to be a problem.
it's game over for the sponsors, right? Game over. Like who would do that, and then who would risk Mansfield, Texas? We love it. I don't know where that is in relation to Austin, but Austin's an amazing place. Okay, so systematic errors are a problem. Okay, this is double-edged sword. SMO. SMO is double-edged sword, and site network is a single-edged sword.
Well, there's still can be problems with the site network.
Yes.
They're just reduced.
We're going to get into it. But what do you think so far about this slide, besides the chaos? Because there's a lot of chaos.
And, yeah, definitely.
You see this guy with the phone yelling because they're not following the procedures.
Yeah. He's got some lady on the ground crying or something.
It's not good. It's not looking good. So let's move to the next slide because that will show us
All right, what is
the
a site
good.
network?
This is the good now. Okay, SMO is so 1990s. Now let's get into the 2020s. This is what it's
Sounds
all
good.
about.
Sounds good.
This is what it's all about.
So, what is a
Site
site
network.
network?
So explain, because we
I
discussed
think we already did explain.
SMO is like hub, the hub and spoke,
Right.
right? And
Loosely affiliated sites, site network.
and it's all centralized.
Mhm.
I think site network is decentralized,
It can
which
have,
is really good.
well, in our site network, for example, there are some centralized aspects, right? So, for example, if a sponsor came to us and said, hey, we have a study, we want to award 30 sites, right?
Which they do all the time.
Exactly. Do you have 30 sites that can do this study?
Yep.
We say yes, right? They say, in addition, we don't want to have to negotiate this budget 30 times. Can you negotiate it one time and will all 30 of these sites agree to that budget? We tell them yes, right? So there is a centralized component when necessary.
But we tell them yes because our sites have told us, Chris, you guys, DSCS, are going to get us the best possible budget, right? So that's why they're entrusting us to do this.
Exactly. And the purpose the sponsor is doing, the reason the sponsor wants to do it this way is because it minimizes time in startup, right? And time is costly.
Extremely costly.
So if they can minimize it in any way, it's not a matter of paying the sites less. It's just a matter of cutting down on the time necessary to start the site up, or all of the sites, right? So in that situation, yes, we can centralize parts of starting sites up.
Yes, it's more like a dynamic situation, more fluid.
Exactly.
So we can be centralized when it benefits the sponsor and our sites, but our natural state is decentralized.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like how water can be steam or liquid.
Right. It's whatever benefits the sponsor or the CRO. What is it they want?
That's right, because at the end of the day, they're the ones paying. They're called sponsor for a reason. Right?
Exactly.
They're sponsoring these studies.
Mm-hmm.
So I like this analogy of site network is more decentralized, but can become centralized when needed. But it's usually just the aspects that don't involve quality.
Yeah.
They involve time.
Exactly.
Right? Quality, there are things we can discuss there because there are benefits in being part of our site network with all the trainings we have.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of our people on our site network get the advantages of this.
Right.
But we don't necessarily have influence over the quality at any given site in our network. There are some site networks that do. They're very picky about who joins their site network, right? So there's different models, and different models may work better for different sponsors' needs. Mm-hmm. But usually those site networks that are pickier don't have the volume of sites that a site network like ours would have.
Exactly.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So good. So this we kind of discussed, but to recap, a site network is an association of independent clinical sites. This is an important part also, the independent clinical sites, because in the SMO, you may have had independent PIs, but at the end of the day, they were part of the same company with the SMO. Right? The PIs were just contractors. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they were given equity, but it's one company. It's not independent. Mm-hmm. So if they implement an SOP, everybody's going to follow that SOP. If they tell one site, this is what you do during this study, all their sites are going to do the same thing. Whereas with a site network, they're all independent. Most of the sites in our site network, we don't own. Mm-hmm. They're just part of our site network. They pay a monthly fee to be a part of it. They get a lot of benefits for being a part of it, but they are independent. They can operate however they want.
Right.
Okay. They can do, and we're not really using our brand name, DSCS, after getting the study and doing the budget. Mm-hmm. They know us to get the studies started at the sites. Then it becomes the independent clinical sites, which is the brand for that study.
We've fallen by the wayside at that point.
We're here to answer questions that they may run into.
In terms of the sponsor or CRO, we're nothing now.
We're done.
Yep.
Now, there are some, if sponsors were smart, they can use a site network like ours
to leverage certain things.
To leverage and to influence their sites. Hey, I'm having issue with this site in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Right. One of your sites in your network.
Yeah, this is what they refuse to do this, and this is the protocol says they have to do this, and the PI refuses to do this. Can you talk to them?
Can you convince them to do this?
And we can do that.
Right. Well, I don't know if we can.
We can't convince them.
We can't make them do anything.
We can have a conversation and say, look, I'm neutral, third party. I have nothing to do with this study. I mean, I brought you this study. I don't even care if you screen patients anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not making any money from your activity. But here's what the sponsor is telling me, and I actually agree with them here.
Right.
Or I don't agree with them, and you keep doing your thing.
Right.
Well, you know, we give our honest opinion. That's called influence.
Mm-hmm.
And sponsors, if they're smart, they know how to find networks like us to, if they're having problem sites, to influence.
Right.
And the SMOs had this influence, but the SMOs didn't care. SMOs didn't care.
Right. Right.
Right. So we care because we want more studies and we want more sponsors to come back to us.
Exactly.
SMOs just wanted to milk the profits, and that's it. If they lose the study, they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
We want repeat business, not only from our sites, but from the sponsors and CROs. So Site Network is more sophisticated SMO, I think.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think the comparisons are, we're not going to get too nerdy on cryptocurrency, but there's a lot of similarities.
Are we moving on?
Well, there's one more bullet point. You want to read this one?
Site networks help clinical sites within their network by connecting them to CROs or sponsors and often provide support as needed. Yeah.
Yeah, I have no commentary on this one.
Yeah, we've already commented.
That's surprising. Let's see what else.
All right, benefits of using site networks. Site networks are individually owned. Yes, they are.
That's right.
Right? And we've already discussed this.
That's right.
Any errors made by a single site will not be reflected on other sites. Exactly. This is the benefit to site networks over SMOs. Site networks can help sponsors find large numbers of potential sites. Yep. They can also recommend premium sites within the network.
That's right.
If they're a well-organized site network, that's true.
And that's one of the things we are trying to develop internally with our site network. Exactly. Is, okay, how do we, because we kind of know which one of the sites in our network are the better sites. So when we really want to impress a sponsor, it's like, okay, these are the sites that you should use. Mm-hmm. And these ones, they may be good too, and we may have some influence, but really these are the ones we can vouch for. And we're trying to get better at that part as well. This is new. It's new for everybody, right? Yep. There are some site networks that just focus on only premium sites in their network. They do not allow anyone else. But our model works. We charge a monthly fee. Their model is they take a percentage of the profits. Right. So it's kind of becoming more like SMO in that sense.
It is more like an SMO in that sense.
It's becoming more SMO, and it's kind of going back to SMO because the business model.
Well, I would say that pretty much is an SMO at that point when you start taking percentages of the profit. Again, SMO is a bad word, naughty word, so they don't market themselves that way.
But you see how they did that? They took the new buzzword, site network, but they're kind of reverse engineering the business model of an SMO.
Yep.
But saying that they're not really doing that. Right. And not all of them. I mean, this is just, there are some that are doing this.
Exactly.
And then maybe it's not a bad thing. I don't know. If they're only putting premium sites, maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah. So we have somebody saying that they caught an error, I think. Clinical site agency, correct? And I don't know what they're referring to.
I don't either, but clarify in the comments.
Must be on the previous slide.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Benefits of using site networks continued. Site networks often negotiate a single budget for all sites, which we discussed, and it doesn't have to work that way, right? If the sponsor wants to have each site negotiate individually, certainly can do it that way. If they would prefer, because of time, that one budget is good for all sites, can do it that way as well.
This is more of a multi-option, offering numerous options for the sites.
Exactly.
A dynamic option for the sites. It's not. We're not static. We're dynamic.
Yep. Budgets usually take time to resolve. Absolutely true. Can sometimes take 3 to 6 months, and even longer. I've seen some sponsors take longer than 6 months on resolving a budget. Believe it or not. I handle a lot of budget negotiations for our clients, and I think the longest I recall is 9 months it took to resolve a budget.
Wow.
Yeah, ridiculous.
By that time, the study's over.
Yeah, with your favorite company too, by the way.
Oh, I love them.
Yeah. Okay, this type of budget negotiations means that sponsors can negotiate the same rate for a large number of sites within weeks. Yeah.
Right. Which is the benefit of what SMOs were offering. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the benefits are the same. It's the more of that the negatives, the cons were reduced with the site network model.
Yeah.
But keeping the benefits while reducing the downsides.
Right. I think the biggest downside again is just replicating errors. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably the biggest downside, and removing incentives as well.
Removing incentives from the SMOs to not worry about quality and just focus on profits.
Yep.
Which in a site network like ours, there's no there's no profit. We only get our monthly fee from our clients. So we need our clients to be happy, profitable, and we need our sponsors to be happy with the sites that we give them.
Yep.
We have more of an incentive that's not necessarily based directly on profits.
Yep, completely agree.
So here's more benefits. What do you know? Okay, you see this clock on the bottom. It's doing so helps sponsors save time by reducing the number of feasibility surveys that need to be reviewed. Okay, so
is that true?
I
don't know if that's true.
In the sense that they can send us one survey and then we send it to our network. They only need to identify us, and we can get them 30 to 50 people in a day.
Yeah, but they're still going to review the surveys.
They will still review the surveys, yeah. So this part needed to be reviewed is probably incorrect. Probably should say need to be sent.
Yeah.
Because and somebody found the error here.
Distribution of feasibility surveys.
That's right. Reduced. That's right. So that need to be distributed. Okay, survey doing so helps sponsors save time by reducing the number of feasibility surveys that need to be distributed. Because they're still going to review all of them. They have to do that. But they can come to DSCS and say, hey, we need 50 sites. We just had a conversation with a CRO today out of Spain.
Yep.
Who said, hey, I'm getting a study for the United States as a sponsor. I'm getting a study. We need U.S. sites. What's your track record? We told them, this is our site network. This is what we can do. In one day, we can get you 50 surveys.
Yep.
They love that.
Yep.
They love that because this is so hard to get.
Sending a CDA. They want to have further conversations on doing exactly that.
This feasibility stuff sounds so simple, and it's so time-consuming, and it's a huge roadblock in getting a study started, is feasibility. So, yes, an error, but you have to be specific about your error because I can't guess that you're right. So next slide. You see this? It says definitely an error here. I know.
I think it's the error we're
maybe. I don't want to assume.
Sure.
We're giving prizes here. Well, you have to be specific.
Okay.
Benefits of using site networks continued. Look, I mean,
tons and tons of benefits. How much can we
go on with this? There's
6 more slides of benefits, I think.
No, we got to get into some cons. Okay, so the biggest advantage in site networks is that we can offer sponsors or CROs access to us, which in turn is a derivative of access to the sites that are hard to reach.
Yeah.
Okay. The representative can proceed to contact the sites to address sponsor concerns, like we mentioned earlier. Sites that cannot comply might not get future studies or may simply be removed from the network. There are sites in our network we say, we're not giving you any more studies till you fix this. Because having a CDA sit in your inbox for 3 months is not okay with us.
Yeah, we've removed sites from our network.
We have. Say that again, Chris.
We've removed sites from our network for being unresponsive.
There we go. Now, next slide, because these are good. Spring is in the air, guys. Small biotechs or inexperienced sponsors can save money. This is the one we spoke to this morning. Okay? Can save money by using site networks, especially when they don't have preferred CROs. That's right. An added benefit of DSCS is we are slowly turning into a CRO as well.
I don't know if I would say, slowly, I suppose.
It's very slow.
But yeah, we're getting more and more projects.
We're getting more projects. We're collaborating with other CROs now. So Preferred. They said the error is preferred. Ah, there you go. You win. No more prizes now. She found it. Good job. Good job. Message me your email, okay, that you did this. Okay, and put in the subject line, I
Error.
found error preferred.
Yeah.
Thank you. Very astute observation. So yeah, so this is like conversation we had this morning, right? And as we're evolving into a CRO from a site network, and we're going to continue to do both,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to have even more access to sponsors now for our site network.
Yeah.
And more value to provide for our CRO clients because of our site networks. It's a win-win. It's win-win, guys.
Without a doubt.
You can see this kind of model doesn't depend on sharing profits. Okay, it's self-sustaining. And it reduces costs overall. So what if you are a new or inexperienced sponsor? Or even a new or inexperienced site? Because this, hello, I'm new here, can be for both of you. So let's see. Let's talk about the sponsor first, and then I'm going to add for sites. So new sponsors, like the one we talked to this morning, should make time to consider working with site networks. Exactly. I think they already saw the value within a 7-minute conversation we had.
Absolutely.
That was our biggest selling point is, hey,
there's benefits to working with somebody that understands the industry and can help them with the hurdles.
And not only that, but we have access right now to 50 sites.
Right.
Right now.
That's helping them with the hurdles.
That's right. Site networks are better equipped to work with new sponsors or biotech companies because they can devote more time to clarify specific areas about the research industry, even feasibility of creating the protocol. Because we're a CRO, we can read a protocol and say, look, no site is going to want to do this. Or you're going to have to pay so much more if you want this in the protocol. With the big CROs, you're going to get that too, but they're just going to tell you whatever they want to hear because their incentive is the longer the study goes, the more they make.
Yep.
So if they want an amendment, that's good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then those amendments are timely. So we go to the next slide, and I'll talk about the sites too. So, here it is. Okay. Oh no, this is gonna get good. But let's talk about if you're a new site. Okay. You don't have to join a site network. I mean, nobody's gonna ask you. The only one's gonna ask you to join is probably us. Okay. It's a monthly fee, $12.99 a month. That's all you'll ever pay. But it would be smart for you to align yourself somehow with sites in your area or sites across the country. You could use LinkedIn now to network with sites.
Absolutely.
You can informally create your own site network.
Yep.
You can even join our site network and then leverage our site network to your site network you're creating. Mm-hmm. We've had clients do this.
We have one right now.
We have no problem with this.
Yep.
We want you guys to be happy. We want your sites to be profitable because, like I said, we're building the CRO. We're trying to provide value not just for the sites. That's going to happen, but for the sponsors as well. So if you're a new site, the point is not to join DSCS. I mean, we'd love to have you as a client. That's not the point of this webinar. The point is you need to start networking. You need to start developing ways to network with other sites that do know what they're doing so that they can get you in their site network. But see, the problem there is, what are you going to offer to them? I mean, that's the problem there. But you can network and do these things, right? If you're a new site, you can share leads with other sites. You can have meetings and create best practices. There's so much you can do. And you can still join a site network like us where you pay to play.
Yep.
Right? We have a question.
We do?
Yeah. As a site network, do you have physicians in different indications that you can review a protocol and let them know why sites wouldn't want to do the trial? Or are you referring to logistics outside the protocol? Why sites? Both. That's the benefit of having site network. We would know from the physician to review it and say, okay, is this something you can do? And the logistics of actually doing the study. We would know, okay, most sites that I know are not going to do it for this price, this particular assessment, or the way that this protocol is written is the sites are not going to be okay with this. So it's both. As a site network, we have access to the physicians, and we also understand the operations and the logistics of running sites, because that's what we did for the past 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's get to the juicy stuff. It's been juicy, but it's about to get juicier. The truth about research at sites. Okay, because sponsors, you like that. It's
I don't know
juicy,
why.
right? I
Caught
think
me. It's
because
very funny.
I'm hungry. I need to eat my food,
All right.
but it's juicy, all right? So the truth about research. This is what many sponsors don't know. Sites will go to great lengths to impress sponsors during site selection visits. They may not always tell you the truth about their capabilities.
Really? You don't say.
They may not. I know it's crazy to think. So sponsors, the smart sponsors know this because they take these feasibilities with a grain of salt. Great lengths to impress. Go to great lengths to impress. You were right, but somebody already won. Somebody already won. But you get that one's a brownie points, like Chris says. Okay. Lost my train of thought. Sites sometimes
To
are.
impress.
Yeah, sites try to impress.
They make things up.
But the site network, if the good site networks like ours, can kind of let the sponsors know realistically, especially when we're doing the feasibilities for them.
Mm-hmm.
More realistic. Look, this is what they can actually do. Especially if we're the CRO as well. Especially in those cases, which our site network, we're also a CRO. So it works better that way.
Right.
Coordinators spearhead about 90% of a site's operations. This is true. This is probably higher than 90. Coordinators do everything.
Well, it depends on the dynamics of the individual company, but sure.
And at most private institutions, I'm not talking universities, I'm talking private institutions, the PIs, they maintain safety oversight
Sure.
of the patients, right?
Yep.
But the coordinator is doing all the work.
Oh, yeah.
All the work. So sites with overworked coordinators tend to suffer in metrics such as query resolution, regulatory documents, data entry rates, etc., etc. This is, and we can go to the next slide too, because I think it continues.
$12.99, James.
How much is it monthly to join Site Network? I am a CRA trying to start a research site. $1,299 a month, no long-term contract. It's month to month.
And it's all inclusive for all of our different services.
Will never be another fee.
So you keep saying that. I just want to clarify that a little bit. So
Yes.
For certain things, there's an additional fee. For example, if they should need a website, right? We'll do that for them.
If you need to create a website, it's going to cost more. If you want to train,
that's a one-time fee.
If you want to train your coordinator in the CRC Academy, that's another one-time fee. But we give huge discounts to our clients on both of those things.
Yep.
That we would charge double or triple to the public. That's not in our network. Because it's our incentive. We want you to do well.
What's the one-time fee to create a website?
$800 if you're a client. If you're not, it's double.
There you go.
Okay, so next slide.
I think it's
the last slide. Yeah, and it's right on time. We're gonna open it up for Q&A. Ask your questions now. The truth about research. You want to end it with this, Chris? It's only fitting. You started. You end it.
That's only fitting.
This one is your topic. It's probably our best topic in a while.
Yeah?
At least in a month.
This is the last one, huh?
Yes.
All right. The truth about research. Sites that look good on paper might not be the best sites to add to some studies, which is true.
But why? Break that down.
Break it down?
Yeah, break that part down.
Well, I think we've already covered that for the most part, right? So one, you have sites that will exaggerate their capabilities. It's very, and honestly, with the sites that we've owned, we've done this ourselves, right? Exaggerated our capabilities. And oftentimes sites do this, and understandably so, right? You want to get that study.
Yes.
Right? So you can't really tell from paper alone, and this is why sponsors and CROs oftentimes will have an in-person visit at the site selection visit, to determine if these things are all factual that they're seeing on paper. And I don't know if that works real well half the time, if not more often than that, because the CRAs are sent out to do this and they just have a checkbox. a list of checkboxes that they're looking at, and oftentimes they're not verifying whether or not these things are actual. Right?
Yeah, CRAs usually have their blinders on and are just trying to finish their report.
Yep.
And so whatever the site tells them, they're going to say, okay, this is good. But the problem is the CRA is supposed to be the eyes and ears of the sponsor.
And I think CROs and sponsors they understand this is going on, and I think at least this is what I've been told by a number of CRAs at
They
this point.
discount it.
Well, not only that, but know that they're holding those CRAs more. I don't want to say in jeopardy, but they understand that the CRAs need to take and understand exactly what's going on at these sites, and they will be held accountable for submitting a report that doesn't accurately reflect the site's capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a number of CRAs have told me this at recent site selection visits.
Okay,
that the sponsors and CROs are more harshly coming down on them.
but what's the coming down?
I don't know. I didn't get into that.
Because they can't find them.
They could fire them.
They could fire them, but they don't. They're not going to fire a good CRA.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if this is an exaggeration on CRA's parts or not.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Anyhow, to continue, those sites get a lot of studies, but might be limited by the number of coordinators that can work on the study. Sure.
And this is especially true for academic institutions.
Mm-hmm.
I know this firsthand.
Sure.
Do some monitoring there. So yeah, I mean, workload. Workload, and this is the good thing about site network is the site itself determines the workload of the site, not the central figure, not the SMO. Because the SMO back in the 90s, mid 90s, they would just give all their sites, big, small, medium, as many studies as they can get. And so there's no real control over the workflow, and then the quality suffers. Well, with site network, the sites ultimately decide whether they want the study or not.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the ones responsible for setting up processes for their network or for their site, and they can leverage the strengths of the network to help them with that.
Right.
But at the end of the day, they're the ones managing it, not the SMO.
Mm-hmm.
There's no managing going on here. Site network is not an SMO because of the management part should be removed.
And is removed. Usually.
It is removed.
Unless it's just branding itself as a site network.
Exactly.
And then Andrew has a question. Came in late.
You do budget negotiations, invoicing sponsors, follow up if we're getting paid, etc. for the monthly fee.
So we don't do invoicing, but we can guide you on that.
Again, this example, this is where you are the site.
Right. You're the management part.
But right? We do budget negotiations. We can guide you on how to invoice and what to invoice.
Yep.
And we can tell you what to do and how to follow up if you're getting paid, etc.
Yep.
And we're getting studies for you as well, and creating source documents, and helping you with any random questions about regulatory operations.
Or these things.
Patient recruitment strategies. We won't actually do the recruitment for you, but we can point you in the right directions. What has worked for us. See, this is why I love Site Network. It's like the best of both worlds.
Yep.
Right? Any more questions? Bring them on. Bring them in. Or... let's end, and so I can eat. But what do you guys think? Let me know. If we're done, we're done. How do you find studies? You want to answer this one, Chris?
Sure. So there's two ways that we bring studies to our clients. One's effective and one not so much. I'll start with the lesser effective way. We have some proprietary software that notifies us each time a new study is posted to clinicaltrials.gov. And when that occurs, we just sent a very generalized email to the contact of that study, letting them know that we have a site network and that we'd be very interested on participating in that study. A number of our sites would. That's not entirely effective. We get our clients a few studies a year that way, but not many. I don't know how long you've been in the business, Andrew, but if you try to do this for yourself, you have to send out a lot of emails on clinicaltrials.gov to even get a response. So it's not, again, it produces some results, just not a lot. The way that we bring our clients most studies is by networking with other CROs and sponsors. They come to us. They know our capabilities as far as having a site network. and oftentimes we'll receive an email at least what, I don't know, how many emails do you think we receive a month? Maybe 6 to 8 from a CRO or sponsor notifying us of a study they have. Would any of our sites in our network be interested in a given trial? That is by far the most effective way that we bring our client studies. So long as you meet the minimum requirements of that study, you most likely will be awarded that study. And then we also network with other sites with new trials that we're unaware of. We get a contact and we send out another email letting them know that we have a site network that would be, many of the sites in that network would be interested in a given trial. So we have CROs and sponsors coming to us directly. And then we also reach out to CROs and sponsors that we learn of that have a study that we are unaware of and let them know of our site network. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I think that just about does it. Guys, great questions, great engagement, and hopefully everybody leaves after this 45 minutes a little bit smarter than they were before they came. And that's a good, successful webinar. And replay will be sent to everybody that registered for this. And this video itself will probably go Friday on YouTube and Friday on the podcast. Do you help with finding PI? Yes, we can help with that. But that part is extra fee because you can't do anything without a PI. So we charge for this.
Yeah, you're not a client until after you have a PI.
You wouldn't be part of our site network without a PI. You have to have a PI.
We prefer you do that if you can handle that yourself. Basically, all we do is run advertising in your area. So
we run ads, and then probably the more valuable thing than the ads itself is doing the initial education call with the PI.
Right.
Considering adding sites from Europe, we've had sites in Europe in our site network. We charge less.
Yeah,
we charge like half of the price that we charge the U.S. clients because there will be fewer studies in our capabilities, but we are expanding that, so that'd be a good value for international clients. We do that. And these people like site networks. Look at this, guys. This is amazing times to be alive.
I like, and I'm probably going to slaughter this, and I apologize, but I like Obina's response.
Yes, we are smarter. This is good. A job well done. I think we can eat lunch now. Thank you guys very much for watching, listening, and if anybody still has questions, email me, dan@theclinicaltrialsguru.com, or text me 949-415-6256. And also, what you should do is text the word guru to 31996. With that being said, we will catch you guys next month. Take care.